Welcome, everyone. I'm Erin Olson with the News Literacy Project, and I'm joined by my colleague, Shaelynn Farnsworth. We're going to be sharing with you resources to help you get started with Camp Fact Check. So first of all, the News Literacy Project is a nonpartisan education resources, supports, and lessons. We help people discern fact from fiction in the news and other information they consume and share. Our resources are all free. If you get started, resource doc that Shaylynn's dropping in the chat. It has our contact information, as well as links to the resources that we will be sharing. And of course, you can see the Camp Fact Check link on the slide right now if you want to go to that resource as well. So feel free as we get started to add questions. You have them, and you can answer, share your name and where you're from, and answer the question, why is news and media literacy important to you and your students? Our Camp Fact Check resources help students hone their skills when it comes to finding and identifying credible information, as well as helping students understand their responsibility when it comes to stopping the spread of mis and disinformation. You can use our free Checkology lessons to teach important news and media literacy concepts, and our infographics and our TikToks to support those important concepts, skills, and strategies. There are 3 paths for this camp. The first is the nature hunt. You will notice each path contains a Checkology lesson, a mission, and an infographic, as well as a TikTok video. This path really focuses on finding and evaluating credible information. Shaelynn will be highlighting a lesson from this path, as well as showing the infographic when we go to a live demonstration. The next path, the experiment cabin. This is a fantastic STEM connection. In this, you can learn how to recognize science-based claims and assess their credibility, explore why people resist and deny science, and gain skills to evaluate science journalism. So if you are connecting to a thread for your summer school, feel free to dive into the experiment cabin. Now, here is an example of an infographic that accompanies the lesson, accompanies a great example of a visual that supports and extends the learning from a Czech Center mission. This infographic presents 8 distinct levels of scientific evidence arranged in a pyramid that reflects a spectrum of quality. Levels of evidence at the bottom are significantly more prone to error and bias than those at the top. The pyramid is reflective of the process of science itself. As initial hypotheses are about a given question are tested, they are either disproven or discarded, or they survive to be tested further. As more rigorous studies are completed and as their results are compiled and analyzed, the picture painted by the evidence becomes clearer and more compelling, as you can see that cast of light. Our infographics are helpful. They're teaching infographics. And of course, they can be posted in a physical space as well as in a digital space. The last path, the campfire, helps students assess claims. The featured lesson, conspiratorial thinking, helps students learn to recognize conspiracy theories and explain what makes people vulnerable to conspiratorial thinking. As you can see, Camp Fact Check is filled with rich content, and this content really is cross-curricular. Each path pulls from the free lessons, extensions, and infographics on Checkology. Let's go to checkology.org, register for a free educator account, and Shaelynn will show you how you can begin.
Thank you, Erin. And I see a lot of people joining us, so welcome. I'm going to start sharing my screen and point out a few things that Erin just spoke about. So Erin, when you can see my screen, go ahead and let me know.
You bet. And a reminder, as Shaelynn is going live, I'm seeing the Google document, Shaelynn. You can go to checkology.org to register for an educator account if you have not done so.
Great. So I'm going to stop my video here, but I'm going to continue with the screen share. What you will see on the Google document that both myself and Erin have been sharing is all of the links along with our contact information. You will receive a recording from an email sent either tomorrow or on Monday that will contain this Google document as well, but it has information on how to get started, as Erin said, how to build your own course. It has the link to the Camp fact check, as well as all of the things that we are going to be demonstrating. We know that summer school is part of many districts' opportunities for kids. And we feel that including news and media literacy in your learning this summer will bring that relevant, engaging aspect to the summer learning. So we're going to look at this camp fact check that Erin just talked about and shared. As she said, there are three different areas. There's the nature hunt, the experiment cabin, which definitely has a more STEM-like feel, as well as the campfire. So the nature hunt, that's the one we're going to dig into, and it really helps you analyze information and understand online searching. The campfire is more about looking at credible evidence and understanding those conspiratorial thinking that drew people to claim, making some of those wild claims that we hear online. Experiment Cabin, like Erin said, does combine our best STEM resources. You'll also notice in this infographic, there's three different icons per track for our fact check camp. If you see Checkology symbol here, that means it's a lesson, a challenge, a mission. Infographic, and these are all hyperlinked, can be found not only on Checkology, but also in our resource library. And finally, our TikToks. We do have a TikTok page. If you are on TikTok, be sure to follow us. But these are hyperlinked as well, and I will show you in just a moment. So each track should last for your 2 to 3 week summer camp experience in June, because July Checkology is down for cleaning of the data and for summer maintenance. But definitely check out these different paths to take with your students for summer school. So like I said, Checkology lessons are linked, as well as the infographic. And since we're going to dig into this nature hunt one, because it's a great foundational summer school track, you can use it middle school on up, perfect for hitting those online searching skills that are important across disciplines and grade levels, as well as information analysis. And it focuses on this infographic, 8 tips to Google like a pro. When you click on this hyperlink, it'll take you to this infographic. Again, a perfect one to either share with your students in digital form, to print out and share with them, to create a poster. And this is a great place to start. It really helps hone those skills that students need to search online. And some great tidbits. It's a place to start. Whenever we work with librarians, Erin and I love to crowdsource. What else would you add to this? So it is definitely a place to start. And Erin, it's one of your favorites, isn't it? Isn't this one?
It really is, because I think that it is something that can be used continuously throughout the year, because we don't look at that infographic or have that learning once and completely absorb it. It's a great reminder. So I encourage educators to put that in their digital and physical spaces and to come back to it every time you, or at least several times when you ask students to go to the internet to research for whatever purpose.
So the infographic is aligned to our Check Center mission. Can you search like a pro? And we're going to dig into that for a moment. But I do want to show you what the TikToks look like. This is a TikTok on how to do a reverse image search. You'll see anytime there is a TikTok symbol, you can simply click on it and open the link. So we're going to take a listen here to our TikTok. Continue.
Let me tell you, finding the same exact furniture online for cheaper using digital verification tools feels like it should be illegal. This is a real text message I got from my friend. Can you reverse image search this and see if they're available elsewhere? Absolutely, I can. I found this one on Home Depot for a fraction of the cost, and I found this one also for way cheaper. Here's how. First step is saving or taking a screenshot of the image. Then you'll need to make sure you have the Google app downloaded to your phone. Click the camera icon, upload the image, and then Google Lens will bring up all of the similar images that you can sort through for the best price. And as a bonus tip, when you're using the Google app, you can also hold down on the image and select search inside image if you're looking for similar items, or you can select find image source if you're trying to find where else that same photo has been used. This is what it looks like on my phone. For others, you might be given a magnifying glass to select instead. A little context, I work in news and media literacy. I fact check viral junk online and teach other people how to fact check, so I'm reverse image searching all of the time. Knowing how to do a reverse image search can do way more for our media landscape than just save you money on furniture, though that part is great. It can let you know if the photo's been digitally altered. This is a tool called TinEye that I've done a tutorial on in the past. It can also let you know how old a photo is. That way you can tell if the image is outdated or possibly used in the wrong context. Bottom line, a reverse image search is just a necessary life skill at this point. So I sent all of these results off to my friend. She said I'm an angel, and I have to say, I agree.
So that is our colleague, Alexa. She is fantastic, and you will see her all over our TikToks page as well as other videos. But you'll notice that each track does have a TikTok that corresponds with the learning. So feel free to check that out or create your own grouping of these TikToks and have a whole unit on that for your summer school learning. But let's dig into where our rich content is. Again, everything we have for the News Literacy Project for educators to use is completely free, including Checkology, our browser-based platform that allows you to create courses for students to work through different lessons. You'll see info zones and can you search like a pro as part of our nature hunt category. As you scroll down in this page, it talks more about those specific areas per track. Info zones, can you search like a pro? There's the infographic and the reverse image search. So depending on how you prefer your view, if you want the infographic or if you like it more linear in fashion, feel free to check out that camp fact check that is hyperlinked on your document right here. So it is right there. And I'm going to turn that actually yellow, Erin, so it stands out. All right, so let's get started. I do know that we are going to dig into the nature hunt track. Again, this is going to focus on online searching and information analysis, and it brings two of my favorite lessons from Checkology into the mix here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the basics for Checkology, and then please put any questions you may have in the chat, and Erin can either answer them or we will answer them at the end. So here is Checkology, and the big thing to remember when you create a Checkology account, if you have not done so yet, is register now instead of the sign in. And when you click for the educator, it will have you enter the school zip code. This is important because it not only auto-populates the Find Your School button, but it also allows you to add co-teachers. Now, don't fret if your library, if your university, if your school is not listed. All you have to do is simply drop myself or Erin an email and we will have it added to our database that day. So it's really simple to add, but putting this specific zip code, postal code is extremely important for adding co-teachers. Since I already have an account, I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And this is what a teacher dashboard looks like. It's very simple to use. Students have a similar look and feel to their dashboard, except they wouldn't have the dashboard in the content or the journalist visits. So they have similar tabs up top, and it acts in similar fashion, but just a few more options for educators. Here are the classes that you are going to add. So I'm going to show you quickly how to do that. When you add a class, it's going to ask for you to title it. So let's call it Super Awesome Summer School. And student type, it's going to be, let's say middle school. I'm going to just choose 8th grade. And subject, this can be whatever you choose or an other. I'm just going to say here, library media specialist. Underneath this arrow is where you find the adding co-teachers. So again, as long as they put the same zip code as you, you will be able to add them for a co-teacher. So perfect for summer school when you are planning something with your team, or if you have a para or you're co-teaching the course. It's a great opportunity to add one or more than one to your class. As soon as you push create class, you'll see that it gives you a couple options. You can add students or assign a course. Adding students is very easy. You simply click the plus sign and it gives you two options. I believe the link is easiest rather than manually adding them to your class. So I'm going to choose invite students to join, and it gives you a link. And it auto-populates the class code, so you will not have to worry about that. But once you copy this, you can put it on your LMS. You can put it in an email, however you would like students to access this. That is the easiest streamlined way to do it. Also, here we go with the assign the course. Now, this is what you are going to have to do to change this course. And we are going to go all the way down to the bottom to this green portion where it says, would you like to build your own course? Would you like to build your own course? So I'm going to pull all the way back out so you can see that. And what you do is you push the assign the course, and you push this change course because it defaults into a foundational course. And at the very bottom, get started, create your own Checkology course. So I'm going to call this the Super Awesome Summer School class, and description here if you want to enter whatever you would like to. Once you push save, it is going to provide all of the content in a simple drag and drop mechanism. And Erin, what are those two lessons again? I know one was info zones, so I'm going to scroll down and grab info zones, and the other one.
So with that first path, it's info zones, and then we have from the mission check, from the check center, can you search like a pro? So that practice and extension, look for can you search like a pro? And I believe that's oh, from the fact check. There you go. Yep, there it is.
So
Now
again,
I'm sure everybody
track
knows
has
this.
two.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was going to say each track has two lessons, mission, two things from Checkology to add to your course, but you can add more if you would like. Erin, what were you going to say?
Just when, when you picked on info zones, how it had that button that more could be added if one desired. There are extension activities to all of the lessons. And so those supplemental activities, you can say no or yes, depending on the time you have. But I just wanted to point that out. I figured everybody saw that. But for our camp fact check, we're just using the core info zones lesson, not the supplementals.
Yeah, good point. If you have extra time, you can definitely add those. Those come from our practice and extend, and those typically take about 20 to 30 minutes. With the lessons being longer. So I have the two lessons that come from our camp fact check. I have the info zones and the check center mission. And all you simply have to do is click out of there, because you'll see changes are saved and it's already assigned. So when you go back to your course, you'll see there is the can you search like a pro? And since I added the foundational lesson second, then it is showing up second. So depending on how you list those, you can change the order of that. So info zones and can you search like a pro? And that's it. It's very easy to build your own course. Again, if you would like to add more content, you can, but you'll want to definitely build your course. Check what lessons are outlined in these different tracks and add them to your course, and you're ready to go. If you need more help, you'll see that I did include a link in our document called Build Your Own Course, and that does walk you through step by step, or you can email us and we will jump on a call with you to help support those efforts. So before I dig into those two lessons, are there any questions or anything that I need to reshare, Erin, that you have on your screen?
I just wanted to bring a question as you get ready to start that lesson. If you could speak to briefly the grade band suggestion for lessons. I shared in the chat that it's really, 5 through 12, 6 through 12. But when we're in the content, if you would describe how we differentiate between the complexity of a lesson.
Definitely. So our lessons, because they are multimodal in nature, they're all taught by subject matter experts, so journalists, scientists, doctors, and provide in specific examples from multiple social media platforms. It's not necessarily done so by Lexile. Instead, you'll see the difficulty level underneath. And this just means 1 to 5, what the concepts in the lessons would be easy for middle schoolers, or if you look down in conspiratorial thinking, these concepts are a little bit more difficult, and this is probably for upper high school students. So we're going to look at info zones, and info zones again is a great foundational lesson. It's accessible from middle school on up. It talks about primary purpose, and it just has the difficulty level of 1. So while there is some text, it is all multimodal short video lesson learning. And that's how we rate our accessibility and our difficulty level for these lessons. Anything you would add to that, Erin?
No, I think that's perfect.
Great. So let's take a look at info zones here. It's one of the most widely used lessons because it is accessible and it lays the foundation. It talks about primary purpose, and I do see that it is linked not only on the document, but Erin also linked this lesson guide. I'll show you how to get to those in a moment, but the lesson guide is great for you to to understand who the host is, the objectives, approximately how long it will take, what subject areas it's aligned with, as well as a lesson outline. So this is great for any planning, any discussion. It has the word wall sitting right there if you're doing any vocabulary enrichment. And these are available for all of our lessons on the platform. Again, InfoZones is widely popular, probably our most used lesson. It is taught by Tracy Potts, and it helps students understand the primary purpose of the online information they are consuming by helping them distinguish the zone of information. So we're going to take a moment and listen to Tracy Potts. Now, if you have not been on this lesson this year, it did have a brand new update. We refresh the lessons to make sure everything is current and the examples are current. So definitely check it out if you're familiar and have not been on this year.
When I was starting out in journalism, we didn't have nearly as much information available to us. There was no internet, no email, no texting, no social media, not even YouTube. We got all our information from textbooks, books we bought or checked out from the library, magazines and newspapers we bought or subscribed to, TV shows we watched on just a handful of channels, and films we actually had to go to the movie theater to see. With no access to the internet, we also couldn't share information with a large group of people at one time. What that meant is that only professionals could share information for the public. They acted as gatekeepers, determining what to share with the public and what not to share. But now, anyone can share information, which means that more voices have been added to the mix, including yours and your classmates. It also means that you can't trust everything you read because, well, anyone, anywhere can post and share whatever they want, whenever they want.
So Tracy Potts then has the students go through and take their best guess, kind of like a little pre-test here, with all of these zones of information to persuade, to entertain, to provoke. And you'll see these have examples here, everything from news articles. Here's a TikTok right here to infographics for students to look at. And when students drag and drop, as soon as they push next, it tells them if they answered it correct or not. It does provide multiple attempts because this is formative assessment, but all of our auto-graded assessment gives immediate feedback for students. Tracy Potts then goes on to go through each one of these to document, to persuade, to provoke, provides the learning for the students, and then has them show what they know, demonstrate their understanding with an example and a piece of formative assessment. So again, fantastic lesson, great foundational course, and really helps students understand what is the purpose of that information I am consuming on my TikTok channel. Like I said, each lesson on Checkology comes with a resource lesson guide, and there's hidden gems all over our platform here. So I'm just going to show you where to locate that. I know Erin has that linked on there, but if you wanted to go through and let's say I am going to look at info zones right here, I'm going to sort it, and it provides everything that is on our platform that is related to InfoZone. So you'll see there's a Kahoot. I didn't know Kahoot was still around. There's a InfoZone's poster. Here is the lesson guide. There's a transcripts. I know there was also that conspiratorial thinking. So if you're wondering, are these concepts going to be appropriate for my students? You can go ahead, click on conspiratorial thinking, pull up the poster. It has the transcript, it has related guides. Again, everything is available on the platform, and that was right underneath that resource guide. So lots of great, resources for you to explore. And some are already listed on those tracks that we have for summer school. So I know that was a quick one. And Erin, any questions before I get off of Checkology?
No, I just wanted to point out that for those who want to expand vocabulary during their summer school time, those tiered vocabulary words are not only shown during video with the WW, but you can click on the bottom right, but they also exist on those resource lesson guides. So if you scroll to the bottom, you're able to see that, and that's another thing you can infuse into that camp fact check, is incorporating that academic vocabulary.
And students have the same view. So you'll see there's a word wall on my screen right now for educators. Students have that same view as if they see a WW, they can pop it open at any time. These are all the difficult words that may appear in this lesson, and they can review that on their own. So great point. So I'm going to pause to see if there are any questions. I'm going to stop sharing here, and I'll turn back on my video.
I think that I've answered most in the chat as we were going. I know we talked about the grade band recommendations and the level of complexity. Everyone's interested in the lessons and wants to make sure that they're always available. I did share that Checkology will go through an update in July. So things will be temporarily unavailable, but even these lessons that we're sharing with you now, you can utilize next year when you get started with your students, or you can utilize as you close out the year. So they're always available to you to incorporate with students as you see fit around your instructional design.
Yes, I agree, Erin. It is something coming. I think they're going to maybe get it up so it's ready for August. The algorithm lesson, it's having a brand new update. A lot of AI and misinformation and how that interacts with algorithms. So that is definitely going to be a new lesson on the platform. I see some questions in here. Joyce, each student is allowed, it defaults to 5 attempts that students are allowed to take. And I think it continuously auto grades it, at least when I tried. So if you're having a glitch, just reach out to Erin or I, and we can help you figure that out. But you can change the default from 5 attempts to no attempts if you want. But it does default to five attempts. Erin, is there a posted recommended time for each lesson?
So on that lesson guide, not only does it give the subject matter expert, it does give a time frame. Shaelynn and I both believe that the majority of those major lessons in Checkology last around 2 to 3 class periods if you're looking at a 45-minute class period. But again, it depends on your instructional design. So I see the formative assessments as opportunities for classroom discussion. So I would incorporate a whole group talk around those formative assessments and give opportunity for that. But you can see info zones 60+ minutes. And so the videos are all easily digestible. They're 1 to 2-ish minutes long, followed by that formative assessment. Video introduces content, followed by formative assessment. And so that parallel structure is threaded throughout all of the lessons.
I know there was another question about grade levels. You can access that on the lesson guides. I believe that mostly everything on this, on these tracks, besides conspiratorial thinking, would be appropriate for middle school on up. Even the science-based claims, that might take a little bit more time to support them because you're really digging into evidence, but it has that TikTok examples that I think those middle school kids would see all the time. Like, what does it mean if they say 7 out of 10 dentists recommend and put garlic on your planter's wart on your foot and it helps relieve it. So I think all of these are pretty accessible for middle school, about grades 5 and up, except conspiratorial thinking. I do think, not because we dig deep into conspiracy theories, it's more what draws people down those rabbit holes. So we don't focus on specific one, except this one where they talk about birds aren't real. So it's a very neutral conspiracy theory. But I think those concepts would be more appropriate for high school, upper high school students. So I think these are pretty accessible for middle school on up.
Definitely. I know there's been a few questions about usage with college students and the expansion of our resources. And currently our focus really is on a K-12 setting and expanding our resources for an elementary audience. However, we see colleges and universities across the country utilize our resources and incorporate them. And I really believe that our lessons are the Leatherman tool of learning because they can be repurposed and reused in a variety of ways. And so I encourage you, if you are in a college setting, to utilize our resources because it really comes down to your instructional design and how you incorporate, the supplemental cross-curricular material into the content that you are instructing.
Well, everybody liked that. Good job, Erin. You're getting mad praises in there. One last question from Brent. Is there a scope and sequence? The beauty of Checkology is that it is chocked full of lessons, units, challenges, missions that are cross-discipline. And so while all of them don't belong together, you surely could use all of them together. Erin and I always joke that some of the STEM lessons we would have used with our AP students to help them write arguments. So you definitely could. It does default to a foundational course that provides a scope and sequence for middle school and one in high school if you don't create your own course. We also have lots of other links that have a grade band equivalency and expectation documents. So there's lots of scope and sequence documents that you can explore, Brent. But if you don't know where to start your first year, you can just let it default. And that is a great foundational course for either middle school or high school, depending on what student you choose. Right.
Well, I appreciate everyone that joined us. It was a fast, quick webinar. We wanted to deliver some resources to you and give you support so you could get started and be on your way with Camp Fact Check. And wow, is that a tongue twister? I have to be so intentional saying that. Thank you so much for being with us. And if you have questions, reach out. Our contact information is on that resource doc. Shaelynn?
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us. Again, a great way to bring relevant, engaging learning that is cross-discipline into your summer school with your students this year. So please reach out if you need any support and enjoy the rest of your school year.